An ordinary day instantly turns into a living nightmare. A massive storm hits, and suddenly, every door and window in Jason's house seals locked shut. He charges the door but gets violently thrown backward. He smashes the windows, but the glass magically repairs itself right before their eyes. Phones and internet go completely dead. Their dog starts whimpering in terror at an invisible presence. Panic peaks when Jason looks outside and realizes every single neighbor is trapped exactly the same way. The only hope is a young woman who escaped for a run before the lockdown, racing to find help. Desperate families communicate by scrawling frantic notes on windows, but a neighbor's message triggers pure dread. Protect your souls from them. Is the government behind this? Night falls, and the girl never returns. The kids are terrified they will never escape. Surrounded by darkness and paranoia, Jason drops a final bombshell on his wife. He secretly bought a gun, because he has been living this exact nightmare for 2 weeks. The nightmares weren't random. They were a direct warning of an impending catastrophe, driving Jason to take extreme precautions. Trapped in a sleepless panic, and jolts awake to a loud commotion downstairs. She finds Jason frantically using a power tool on the door, but every single hole he drills instantly seals itself shut. He attempts to bore straight through the wall, only to watch the concrete magically fuse back together. Defeated, Jason sinks to the floor and drops a terrifying truth. A mysterious, watery barrier is surrounding the house, completely cutting off their oxygen supply. He admits this impossible phenomenon is not human work. An unimaginable, higher power is behind it, fighting back absolute terror for her children's sake, and forces him to cover the damaged wall with a large board. The next morning, a fleeting hope that it was all a dream is instantly crushed. They rush to the door, only to find their children standing there with eerie, unsettling calmness, quietly stating they tried but couldn't get it open. Ruth's absolute faith that her parents will save them lights a desperate fire under Jason and Anne. They instantly shift into hardcore survival mode, establishing strict rules for their new reality. Jason digs out old vinyl records to drown out the silence, while basic hygiene like toothbrushing becomes a strictly rationed, agonizing ritual. Food and water are systematically sorted, hidden away, and locked down. There is zero room for waste. Grim reality hits harder when they realize their sick dog's medicine is running out with no way to get more. A agonizing week crawls by in pure survival mode. Every single scrap, even a smudge of tomato on a knife, is saved. Jason frantically exchanges window messages with the neighbors, eventually connecting with a dentist next door who is horrified to learn they have no food left. Days blur into a repetitive nightmare of failed escape attempts. Then, a chilling twist shatters the routine. While sitting with her brother, Ruth casually mentions she just saw her return outside. Her brother looks out to see absolutely nothing, demanding to know who she is talking about. Her response stops his blood cold. Ruth's bone-chilling revelation drops. The woman outside only visits when it rains. Her brother tries to dismiss it as a trick of the storm, but during a tense family dinner, Ruth doubles down, claiming the woman actively tried to break in. Graham denies seeing a thing, but Jason believes his daughter, deeply fearing the entity is the vengeful ghost of a dead neighbor. He snaps, strictly forbidding Ruth from looking outside at night. To break the crushing despair, and surprises them with hidden New Year's cookies, and the family spends 2 days building Christmas spirit to prove that happiness is just being together. But their fragile peace is instantly vaporized. Ruth looks out the glass and screams. The doctor's wife is outside, begging for help before brutally collapsing dead. Jason holds his shattered family back, entirely helpless. The nightmare worsens as their sick dog reaches his final moments. Later that night, amid roaring thunder, a curious Ruth pulls back the curtain. A heavily disfigured woman is right against the glass, screaming and violently hacking at the window with a sharp object. The terrified family rushes in as the woman delivers a frantic, dying warning. They are all dead. Hide, don't let them see you. Suddenly, a blinding, supernatural light floods the yard from behind her. Turning to the glare, she whispers her final, haunting words. Hide right now. The blinding light vanishes, and the woman is violently yanked away, dragged across the ground as punishment for trying to save them. Finally realizing Ruth was telling the truth, Jason questions her about the entity. Ruth describes a gentle spirit who loves them, but Jason hardens. Any force keeping them locked inside does not love them. They vow to cover every window, completely camouflaging the house to look entirely abandoned. The next morning, Jason notices other neighbors are dying. To distract his kids, he forces them into a sudden exercise routine, but Ruth's movements cause cracks to open up in the house. Discovering the chimney is still clear, the family rigs a harness to send lightweight Ruth up as their last hope. Reaching the top, she gasps that her hand can feel the outside air, but the weather violently shifts, refusing to let her escape. They pull her down just in time as the storm rages. To make matters worse, their sick dog's medicine completely runs out, and breaks the heartbreaking news that he only has hours left. Defeated, Jason walks into the room and grimly tells her to turn up the music. Jason cranks up the music to drown out the heartbreaking reality. He must end his dog's agony himself. With a shattered heart, he delivers the final mercy and comforts him, affirming it was the right choice to stop the suffering. Bound by grief, they decide to cremate the body in the fireplace. Before lighting it, Jason spots a wild fox outside and tosses the dog's meat out through a gap, desperate to avoid burning it. But the fox rejects the food and slinks away into the gloom. The next day, a storm rolls in, triggering instant panic. They draw the curtains, but Ruth rushes back for a forgotten plant. She peeks through the glass, and the malevolent entity instantly senses life inside. It closes in, revealing its horrifying silhouette, a nightmare with more arms and legs than anyone can count. Thankfully, it moves on. 3 agonizing months pass in absolute isolation. During a tense dinner, and frustrated Ruth storms over to the fridge for more food, defying the rationing rules. She pulls it open, and the brutal truth lands. The fridge, the cabinets, and their entire food supply are completely empty. The family utterly breaks down and collapses in grief. Graham screams at his pet fish tank, and Ruth suffocates her tears into a pillow. Refusing to let his family die, Jason stands strong. Graham walks in, having bravely butchered his own pet fish just like his father taught him, offering it as their last meal. Regathering their strength, they share a tearful embrace. Jason immediately engineers a hunting trap using an old scooter and a carrot as bait. After several failed attempts, a trap clamps down on a wild animal near the chimney. As Jason hauls the catch down, it snags on a terrifying obstruction and the empty trap tumbles back. Just as despair seals their doom, the dead animal suddenly drops through the hearth. Overjoyed, they cook the meat and spark a brilliant new survival plan, tearing up the floorboards to grow their own crops inside the house. 5 whole years flash by in the blink of an eye. The house has completely transformed into a massive indoor garden, keeping the family alive against all odds. They have engineered custom fertilizer, clever bird traps, and even a makeshift cinema inside their garage car to keep their spirits up. To avoid losing their minds and their sense of time, each family member meticulously logs the dates to track how old they are becoming. Outside, the world has reverted to a wild, untamed jungle teeming with foxes, bears, and deer. They have mastered the rhythm of the storm. The moment it rains, the automated house seals, their custom traps trigger, and food is delivered right to them. Then the ultimate nightmare strikes. The door violently bursts open. The entity has entered the house. Everyone dives for cover, holding their breath in absolute terror. For the first time, they see its true nature. It is made entirely of shifting water, freezing the floor solid wherever it steps. Unable to find the hidden family, the creature maliciously destroys every single inch of their life-saving soil before exiting, leaving the door wide open. Graham makes a desperate sprint for freedom, but the door slams shut in his face. Seeing a stray ray of sunlight pierce through a gap, a hopeful Jason grabs the handle while the family watches in breathless suspense. In a crushing instant, the lock seals tight again. Nothing has changed. Ruth dives into her books for answers, dropping a shocking theory. Their city was built on an ancient, dried-up sea. The creatures don't want to kill them. They just want humans off their land. The message hits deep, but reality hits harder as their remaining crops wither and die in the ruined soil. Just as starvation looms again, the automated trap snaps shut on a new catch. But Ruth, true to form, is about to throw a massive wrench into their survival. Ruth's reckless empathy strikes again. Spotting the captured baby animal, she frees it, only for the venomous creature to bite her, causing a piercing scream. They have 0 antiseptics left. Jason charges in, brutally tearing the creature's head off with his bare hands. But the damage is done. A severe, life-threatening infection spreads through Ruth's body, and refuses to watch her daughter die after 5 years of brutal survival. Desperate, Jason hops into the garage car, flooring it at top speed to ram the door. But the vehicle totally crumples without leaving a single scratch on the barrier. Dazed and injured, Jason notices cracks in the floorboards. He furiously swings a tool at them, but the metal just bends. Driven by pure panic, Jason traces the cracks directly to a large drainage passage. They realize it connects to the dentist's house, which must have antibiotics, and volunteers to go, terrified that losing Jason would doom the kids. Rigged to a harness and carrying a walkie-talkie transmitter, and descends into the dark drain. She crawls through the pipes until she reaches the neighbor's house, but the signal suddenly cuts out with a blood-curdling scream. A devastated Jason furiously smashes at the floor to go after her, but Graham spots a silhouette across the way, and made it. The signal crackles back to life, and explores the dark house, uncovering horrific, insect-infested decomposed bodies. Shaking off the terror, She finds the antibiotic stash and frantically waves through the glass to show she is alive. But her triumph is short-lived. The watery entity slowly begins to materialize directly around her. Horrified, and sprints back toward the drain, only to find the escape pipe now completely choked with rotting corpses. The watery entity spawns directly behind Anne. She unleashes a barrage of gunfire, but the bullets pass through it uselessly. She bolts through the corpse-choked drain, barely escaping back into her house. Jason furiously bricks up the drainage hole to trap the monster behind them. Ruth finally takes the antibiotics, and surviving this close encounter ignites a final, desperate resolve in the family. With their soil destroyed and starvation guaranteed, they choose to fight. They heavily arm themselves, plotting to lure the creature into a deadly fire trap. But the entity strikes first. As the storm rolls in, a catastrophic flood erupts from every pipe, faucet, and chimney. The house fills with water at a staggering velocity, completely ruining their trap. Through the rising tide, a horde of smaller, vicious alien creatures flood the rooms, launching a brutal attack. And manages to ignite one, but the blazing beast violently hurls her across the room before overpowering Jason. 1. Cornered, Graham bravely swims through the submerged house to retrieve their gear with a monster hot on his heels. Jason pulls his son to safety at the highest point of the house, but they are trapped against the unbreakable glass ceiling as the water climbs. In a last-ditch effort, Jason's custom drain invention triggers. The water rapidly recedes, and the main beast is slammed into heavy chains. However, the violent torrent flings the family in separate directions. Battered and exhausted, they crawl back to the front door, only to find it completely sealed. Driven to absolute madness, Jason tackles the chained beast, pressing a weapon to it and threatening to slaughter it if it doesn't unlock the door. Just as he is about to strike, Ruth screams, "Stop! That's enough. If you kill it, we'll never get out of here." Jason freezes as his life flashes before his eyes. He remembers Ruth's words, "This creature is gentle." He recalls the faint touch against the glass, an entity merely trying to connect. Dropping his weapon, Jason chooses peace and releases the beast from its chains. The massive creature towers over them, paralyzing the family with fear, but instead of attacking, it reaches out and unlocks the front door. They sprint outside into a jaw-dropping spectacle. A massive horde of sea creatures surrounds the property as their home caves into the earth, completely swallowed whole by the ground. Ruth was right all along. This land belonged to the ancient sea creatures, and humanity was the true invader. Fleeing the collapsing neighborhood, they make a desperate run for the docks, boarding a luxury yacht as the sole survivors of the entire town. As they sail away from the sunken ruins, Jason turns to Anne and asks, "Where to?" She looks out at the open water and replies, "Anywhere that's ours. Anywhere we have a right to be."